You know, the congressman is free to make that judgment that here's what happened and I don't think it's impeachable. And other people are free to say here's what happened and it is impeachable. But it seems clear that the president pushed an agenda which had the Ukrainians trying to do something against the president's political opponent. And while he pushed that agenda, he held up $391 million in aid. The congressman is free to say that that's not impeachable, and the Democrats are free to say it is impeachable. Right? It's not black and white. In my view, it is clearly impeachable because it involves two potential crimes. The crime of bribery, which Congressman Buck just mentioned, which is defined as the failure to do an official act, release the $391 million until a favor comes your way. Announce, not conduct an investigation, announce the existence of an investigation of Joe Biden. The other crime is asking for campaign aid from a foreign national. That is a crime in and of itself, just asking. They're free to say that that's not an impeachable offense, but they're not free to say it didn't happen because the evidence that it happened is overwhelming.
Well, some of them did take the leap that even if it did happen, it isn't impeachable. So I'm not the lawyer here. I am confused. I am curious what you make of the fact the president might want to skip out on this Judiciary Committee opening hearing and maybe others to follow because it's essentially a kangaroo court. They're not fair. It's a cabal against him. What do you think?
The rules about which the president is complaining were written by a Republican House of Representatives in 2015. So I think the president would be very unwise not to send lawyers there. I shouldn't go himself. That would be unseemly for him to sit there while people are testifying against him or while legal scholars are arguing over what is
Republicans
and what is not.
Judge, for what it's worth, that these are not the exact same rules that the Democrats are taking liberties. Republicans themselves did not, back 20 years ago. The
rules in 2015 allow the majority to take those liberties. So the Democrats are not doing anything that the Democrats didn't do to Nixon or the Republicans didn't do to Bill Clinton. But I think he makes a mistake when he refuses to participate. He also loses the argument it's unfair if he doesn't take the opportunity to participate himself.
This is Fox News' Judge Napolitano delivering a blow to Trump today on his favorite network. He lays out, in no uncertain terms, the crimes that Trump has committed, including dangling legally allocated military assistance as a bribe to exact political help for his campaign, as well as asking a foreigner for the political contribution of dirt on his political opponent. And in doing so, Napolitano also points out the principal flaw in the Republican Party's defenses of the president, that in their desperation to absolve him, they've pretended that Trump never even held up aid as leverage to open a probe into Joe Biden. And the only result that their hack theatrics have had is that it's absolutely destroyed their credibility. They've wasted all of their political capital pretending something that we know happened somehow didn't happen. At this point, I wouldn't believe the GOP if they said the sky was blue because the party is so egregiously untrustworthy. So now that it's come time to mount a defense, we're supposed to believe the same party saying extorting a foreign country suddenly isn't impeachable when they've spent the last 2 months saying that such behavior didn't even exist? Here's the thing, when you prove yourself to be an untrustworthy source, you don't get to complain when no one's taking you seriously when you bounce to the next absurd justification. And that brings us to yet another disastrous Republican defense of Trump, which is that he wasn't able to participate in the hearings. We've heard the entire GOP echo Trump's complaints that there's no due process, that he isn't able to mount a defense. Only there are two issues here. One, the impeachment inquiry isn't a trial. This is where we hear from witnesses and gather evidence that will inform the articles of impeachment, if any. Republicans all know this, both because it's very basic civics, and also because they wrote the rules in 2015 under which Congress is currently operating. So if the Republican Party thinks that this is all very unfair, that should tell you everything you need to know about how the GOP operates. And two, Trump has been invited to participate in the House Judiciary Committee hearings on December 4th, and the White House refused to participate. In other words, the process is a kangaroo court because Trump has no ability to defend himself, except he was given the opportunity to defend himself and rejected it. Got it. So what Republicans are saying here is that despite hearing testimony from people like Sondland and Volker and Morrison and Taylor that Trump conditioned aid on the promise of an announcement of an investigation into Biden, that they're all lying. But at the same time, nobody that's actually able to exonerate Trump is willing to testify under oath. Not Mulvaney or Perry or Giuliani or Pence or Bolton or even Trump himself. Because nothing screams innocent like being absolutely petrified that you'll perjure yourself if you're ever legally obligated to tell the truth, as opposed to just spouting BS talking points to Sean Hannity on Fox News. And yet it's unlikely that we'll ever hear from Trump in any other forum, because this isn't actually about facts, it's about messaging. It's about a coordinated campaign by right-wing personalities to defend the president at all costs, even if that means lying to the American people on a minute-by-minute basis. That's why we're seeing people like Kevin McCarthy tweeting things like, Adam Schiff, chairman of the impeachment committee, did not allow Republicans to submit evidence, call witnesses, or issue subpoenas before passing this impeachment sham onto the Judiciary Committee. Even though Volker and Morrison were both Republican witnesses and were both called to testify. It's about purposefully obfuscating the facts and sowing doubt and outright annihilating the truth. The GOP is leaning on the fact that if they're able to confuse the American people enough, that even if we might not believe those on the right, that at the very least we won't know what to believe. And that's the goal. Republicans, elected officials, are part of a disinformation campaign to make sure that their own constituents have no grasp on the truth and no trust in our government. And so unfortunately, we're at a point where people like Judge Napolitano are considered brave for daring to tell the truth. And to his credit, he does absolutely deserve praise for that. But more than anything, it shows just how far the Republican Party has fallen in its desperation to defend the criminal leading their party.